Hi, I'm Ben. Now this tape is about the length and bits of steel that I have fallen in with over the last lot of years and where I got them, and let's get showing. Now this is a bit of, there was a large machine that the firm had bought years before I started, and it was a large block machine for making blocks, and there was offcuts when they were installing it, and the bits lay behind the saw in the workshop all for 2 or 3 years before I started to put my bits and pieces together. And I said to the boss one day, he said, if you can make use of them, they're yours. So I'll start heavy angle iron like this. I have made nothing out of this, but I cleaned them up. I think I have a tip on making one or two, and this is what I made, which have come in very handy. Made sure to clean these ends up, which comes in very useful. Now these 4 pieces lay behind the saw in the workshop for quite a while. But there was other pieces. There was this block. I put it on here for I use this on my milling machine. This bit. I have tips on using them, and I thought I might as well make use of them. So I made use of this lot. Now the rollers, there was about 300 rollers. The bottom rollers for carrying the bottom part of the belt, 4 foot. The intermediate bit, there was 18 inches, no sorry, 30 inches, and the 2 side rollers was 12 inches. Now I'm talking over a period of 6-7 years when the rollers was getting changed, yet the shafts, had to put new shafts in, shafts were scrapped. I made use of most of them. And the drums, the stuff over that period of time, drums, these shafts had to be changed. I'll show what I got. This is it. Now this lot here is offcuts. Now they didn't appear in a week or month or two. You're talking 5 or 6 years. Granted, I have used bits and pieces of them also, but over the years the manager said I could hold on to some offcuts, which I did. And that's what these are. Offcuts of different jobs. Now, these are the shafts out of rollers. Now, this is a 7-8 year period. I've accumulated these out of about 300. or more different rollers, small drums. Now, the reason being there's so many shafts, even over that long period. They think of the weight that those belts was carrying. The first belt was 3-4 inch stone, second belt 2-3 inch, 2 inch, etc. And there was a lot of weight on those, and they were going from 7 in the morning to 5 at night, 5 days a week. So it was causing a lot of wear. That's how I ended up with a lot of shafts. And I'll show the shafts that I got out of the drums. There was a few drums had to be changed, and this is them. Now here is some of the shafts that I got: 5 inch, 4 inch, 3 inch. Now that is my shafting. Now the large crusher, the shaft went on it, and it is an 8 inch shaft. So I managed to get it up to the workshop. I stood it up on its end again, one of the corners, and it sat there for maybe 18 months, 2 years. And the firm decided to change the saw, which that saw wouldn't have cut it. They got a continuous blade saw. Now, a couple of months passed, and I said to the yard foreman about this large shaft and the saw. He said, "You get the time, saw away on it. Cheers." Pardon me. Now my angle blocks, that I wish to call them, I squared them up. I'll drop that one. Yeah, this one was the most important one, I think. I squared them up for a bit of accuracy. Now size-wise, 4 over 4.5. Now this way they're 4 inch. This one just over 3.5. 4 inch. And this one is a beauty. This is 6 3/4, 4 inch, which they come in very useful. Very pleased to have made them. Now this is the way they were before I squared them up. This is I got them squared up. Now I mentioned about the 8 inch shaft. I had it left up in the workshop, but I got to go ahead to cut it. Now in cutting this, I left it in the saw, started it up, and when it got through and knocked itself off, so I could have been away doing other work. But I got quite a few pieces of it, and I have used quite a few of them in shop accessories. I'll show those in a later tip. I've already showed some of them making some of them, but I'll show the lot. And this is the other ones that I still have. I have a piece in the chuck for doing a job with at the moment. Here's another piece. Now these two, this one's for a job. Now this was the end piece, which the 3 screws and they're threaded, which is coming in very handy for a job I have. I'll not mention the job, for I want to make a tip on it. And another piece. Now here is another piece that I used for here. Now I have different size holes. As I showed, I'm making this for the anvil, but these holes is for a purpose. Now the holes are equal to these holes, and I have a rib right round it for to knock wee pins out if they were large or whatever. And as I say, this was my anvil. Now this piece is 6 inches. Now here's a lot more pieces. There's 2 substantial pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more pieces, all 8 inch. Now they came off all the one shaft, and I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time for to get them. Now I got 7 pieces or so that I know of plate out of work, but I had said to the office manager about getting them, and he produced this small container. Throw a few pound in there, he says, anytime you get a bit. So that's what I done, which meant it eased my conscience I wasn't stealing it. Now there was these plates. Now these are shafts out of those rollers. Some of them have done the work. There's this bottom plate on here, and 2 on my workbench. And there's this 1/2 inch plate for my milling machine. I think that's all the plate that I... Now that is the plates that I got out of work at that time. I'm thankful. Now the firm has changed hands twice that I know of, possibly a 3rd time, but that's the way life is, and I'm thankful that I got my plate. Now the blockyard had its own workshop, and you may guess the blocks was coming down 12 block on each steel plate, getting slammed down, and rollers getting slid along rollers to frames. I'll not go into details about it, but there was quite a bit of work had to be done, and so-called rollers, the frames got up and down too, and over a period of about 10 years there was quite a bit of work had to be done. So I managed to get wee bits of shafts and stuff. I'll show you, and I've used quite a few of them too. Now, pardon me, now on this machine there was a lot of steel and rollers, steel shafts, etc., and wear was continuous. Now they were taken out into the workshop. It was at the side of the building. There was a big bench. There was loads of shafts and stuff was cut on the bench, and bits of it just threw in below the bench, the cuttings, and they lay there for quite a while. And I was cutting one shaft one day, and the foreman came in and he says, "You're getting it sorted?" I says, "Yes." He says, "There's a lot of bits of shafting and stuff in below this bench." He says, "If it's no use to us, you can have it." So I'll show you what some of the bits I got. Now here is a lot of the stuff that was thrown in below the bench over the years. There was quite a bit more than this what I had used. You can see the ends of the small shafts are chewed up with the thumping of the plates coming down. And I have used as much as this again over the years, but this is what I still have. Hopefully I'll get to use a lot more of it. The man above allows me. We're jigging a lot of showers here this morning. Now the frames were set, the plates come down. There was 6 block on each plate. They had to come across about 10 rollers, and they were automatically lifted into the frame. And there was 2 steel pallets on each shelf, 6 high. The frame moved across, the same was repeated. That's 24 plates with 6 blocks on each frame, and that's 174 block. You may guess the weight. The forklifts came in, lifted them off, new frame on. There was maybe a lot of roughing and knocking about, which meant a lot of repairs, and we had to get it done. And it was heavy work, but we got there, we got it done. Now a lot of that, all the small stuff came from below the bench, and some of the other stuff, the rest of it came from odd jobs I was doing in the big workshop. Now those bits of shafting that I got, and wee bits of plate and stuff, that was over a 10-year period. You can imagine those 5 crushers, all the belts going to them and coming from them, a large tower plant and a blockyard. a lot of maintenance had to be done to keep it all up and running. Now, I got the bits and pieces, I got them with permission. Now, I was walking into the workshop one day and the under manager called me over. He says, "Ben, I've something for you." So I goes over. He was out measuring up a job. I don't know whether it was a runway up to a factory or whatever, but he brought me in to the back of the Jeep, and this is what I showed it before, but this is what he produced. He says, I was able to get this for you. He produced this. Now this is 2-inch. "15-inch. He produced this. He says, "I got you this." This. It's 1/2 inch. 13-inch. And then he produced this. Now look at this. This is 3/8. 17.5. Now, where he got them, I don't know. But it shows he had me in mind. Very nice. Now, I was referring to the foreman, that he was the yard manager. We only had two. We had a yard manager and an office manager, and they were the bosses. Now, all this bits of steel, they were all used bits, and that was over a 10-year period. They just didn't a month or 2 or 6 months or whatever. They're used bits that was rejected over the 10 years. I got a fair bit left, but I used quite a bit over the years also. So I was very pleased to get them. They weren't rejects to me, they were good. That is my steel pieces that I have accumulated over the years. I hope some of you have found this type of interest. Please plug into my website. I want to thank you for looking and watching. This is Ben. Go to Benny Martyr. Thanks again.